Hello there, listeners, and welcome to the seventh and I think last part of the introduction to the podcast, the opening, to let you know how things started and became the way they are today in here in the Middle East. So in the preview episode, I was speaking about Hamas taking power over the Gaza Strip after Israel left it in 2006. Was it 2007? Could have been 2007. I'm not completely sure. Um, anyway, so yeah, it's an important question because you see today many Israeli people justify the violence toward the Gaza people by saying that they elected Hamas as their leadership and so they are in charge to the Hamas activity. To the Hamas violent activity, and they should be punished for that. That's a very common idea in the Israeli mindset today. I think that that's kind of like a twisted idea from several reasons. First, the Gaza people that vote Hamas did not really knew what they are gaining to do. Hamas started as like a charity organization. Okay, it was like social, like helping the weak people in society. That was like the main idea when Hamas started. I guess many people did not knew that it's gonna get that violent. Second, I think most of the population in Gaza today did not have a vote of right back then. They were children, they were under 18. So all those people that are now adults and were underage when Hamas was elected, for sure did not elect them. They didn't have voting right. And third, it's important to remember that the Hamas is a very violent organization. Okay, when he was competing Fatah on controlling the Gaza Strip, the Fatah people were like the Hamas people took the Fatah people and broke their legs systematically. There is like all of the Fatah leaders that were in Gaza in that time are crippled now. The Hamas just crippled them or throw them off buildings or stuff like this. The Hamas is really messed up organization. Okay, so when you see a very violent organization control society, you can kind of guess that they kind of use their violence in certain ways to gain power in the society. But I don't really know because I haven't even spoke with anyone from Gaza in my life. So obviously I know very little about what going on there and what happened there back in 2006, 7. Anyway, the Hamas took power over Gaza, and since 2007 until October 7 last year, there was all the time rockets and terror activity coming out of Gaza into Israel. Lots of violence all the time coming from Gaza into Israel, and every once in a while Israel was attacking Gaza with planes or rockets or military coming into Gaza, make like extreme destruction there, try to hurt the Hamas as much as they can, and then go out thinking like, okay, we beat the hell out of them, now they should be quiet. 1 year, 2 years, 2 years and a half maybe, and it's all happening again. Okay, so October 7 didn't come out of nowhere. It was a series of violent events between the Hamas and Israel. That there was no like negotiation or any attempt to make peace or get into understanding between those roles of war. I think this is because Hamas is not a peaceful organization and because the Israeli government is not a peaceful government, at least this right-wing government that we see pretty much continuously since the 90s. So no attempt to make peace, only temporarily solving the situation by extreme violence, and then the Hamas rise up again and attack, and continuously that. And now we go back all the way to 2023. when we have this super extreme religious right-wing government in Israel wishing to take power over court and in my perspective basically destroyed Israel as a democratic and make it into a religious dictator. Yeah, all kind of stuff like kind of messed up stuff. People that support this move of the government will tell you different things. Yeah, they will not call it. They will not say that the government is taking power over court. They will say that the government wanted to fix the power relationship between the government and the court. But this is a whole different discussion. Again, if you want to know more about that, go to my old podcast, which is in Spotify, same name, same picture, Life in a War Zone. Check it out. Anyway, that was the situation when October 7 happened. It was we had a feeling of almost civil war in Israel. Lots of violence between protesters and people that support the government. Lots of police violence. Lots of violence and hate and fear in the street within the Israeli society. We don't even need the Palestinians to create this violence. Just within the Israeli society, lots and lots of violence in 2003. And then, when the Israel society is split and broken and full of inner hate, then one morning, Saturday morning, October 7, 2023, a giant force of Hamas broke the huge fence wall stuff that is between Gaza and Israel, entered Israel and did like terrible massacre in settlements that are around Gaza, and they came into the Nova festival, we call it, and did like a terrible massacre in the festival and butchered men, women, child, old people, brutally group raped hundreds of women, cut their nipples, hang them on trees, all kind of really messed up psychotic stuff. This is like all this fear and violence and hate got birthed away in one day into a hell of terror. Really terrible stuff. You can check out the number if you want. It was thousands of people being murdered, thousands of people being hurt physically and mentally. Of course, everyone in Israel were brutally hurt mentally, for sure. And I think it was in the beginning about 300 or 200 or something hostages, like people being kidnapped into Gaza. People, I mean, like soldiers, civilians, women, children. Yeah, there is babies that been kidnapped into Gaza in this day in October 7. And the Israeli response was as you expect. For a short time, the Israeli society seems to reconnected and reconnected with the joint hate for Hamas, and really put their strength together and lead a giant military attack into Gaza very fast, kind of like conquering almost all Gaza. As we speak now, the only part in Gaza that is not conquered by the IDF is the southest city, Rafah, and then from Lebanon, this is in October 7 also, Lebanon starts shooting at Israel because the Hezbollah, which is a terror organization or a political party with a military force of their own, however you want to look at it, they start attack Israel because they have ally with Hamas. They're both under Iran. Iran is giving money to Hezbollah and Hamas, so they have to be friends. So if Hamas is under attack, Hezbollah is joining the war and shooting at the north of Israel. This is why there are bombs shooting toward my parents' house for the last 6 months. Yeah, this is how the war broke. That was half a year ago. You can learn a lot about that if you go to my old podcast in Spotify, Life in a War Zone, because I actually started that podcast in October, not October 7, but I think 2 weeks after I started this podcast. Yeah, so far hundreds of Israeli soldiers were killed. I guess thousands of Gaza people were killed, and almost all of Gaza is destroyed. In northern Israel, hundreds, thousands of people are evacuated from their house for half a year. The settlements there are destroyed by rockets. In southern Lebanon, people are evacuated from their house, and lots of the destruction. Lots of violent reoccurred within the Israeli society, lots of terror activity in the Palestinian territory in the West Bank, and IDF violent against those people, and Jewish settlements violent against Palestinians in the West Bank, and the hostages, which are, if you ask me, the most miserable people in this whole situation, are still trapped in Gaza in the hand of those maniac people, Hamas. There is 133 hostages in the hand of Hamas. Their families are protesting since October 7, and right now the protests of the hostages' family are focused in two different directions. One of them is to stop trucks of humanitarian assistance from entering Gaza, saying that this assistance, this food and help is going to the hand of Hamas, and this for this reason they have to be stopped to not give Hamas any support. But there you have like lots of people in Gaza like pretty much starving to death because they're blocking the trucks. And the second direction that the hostages family are going, because there are so many of them, you see, so they can go in different directions. So the second direction is calling election or just replacing the prime minister in Israel, because Netanyahu seems to be doing everything that he can to stop a hostages deal from happening. Yeah, because if he will have hostages deal, it means stopping the war, and if he stop the war, the extreme right-wing parties are leaving the government, and he lose his political strength. So you see, in order to keep his political strength, he leave the hostages there. This is how I see things. But generally, this is like the picture in the present time. So I managed to brought you all the way. Thank you for listening. Yeah, as I said, I already making a podcast in Spotify for the last 6 months, Life in a War Zone, you can check it out. So why did I start this podcast in YouTube now? Well, I want to do this for a long time to move also in YouTube just to get more audience. But also I had a technical problem that I just solved. But the main thing, like that this is a good time to start this podcast is because tomorrow I'm going to a journey. I'm gonna start in Jaffa to visit a friend. Then I'm going to Jerusalem, the center of this conflict, to participate a seminar for educators, seminar that is created by some left-wing Israeli organizations, and we're gonna visit Eastern Jerusalem and the Palestinian territories and have some discussions and learning about the situation. So that's a very big thing for me. I'm going to I just told you the whole story, and now I'm gonna like actually experience it. I'm going there. I'm going to the heart of it. So this is the end of the introduction to the podcast, and the next part gonna be about my journey, and tell you about the reality that I see and the thought that I had in mind about that. Yeah. So thank you, listeners, for listening. I hope you got some benefit out of that. And yeah, soon more episodes about my journey will come up. Aho!